Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wednesdays with Windrose, yet another session of Ask Me Anything. I am Rohit Goyal, managing partner at Windrose Capital, and I'm thankful for all of you all to actually be watching this video. Without further ado, let's start into the set of questions that we have for today. So, to begin with, how much role does the analysis of a business idea and understanding play versus the role of number crunching in VC or private equity investments? So it's a good question. Depends a lot on the maturity stage of the company, because in early stage you might not have enough numbers or enough reliable numbers to actually crunch. So of course number crunching won't play as big a role over there. But at a later stage, there's a lot of number crunching that can help you protect on the downside, or sort of help you mitigate risk. But usually your shot at the kind of returns that you can generate is more dependent upon the understanding of uh, the sector as well as the business model in play here, right? So as to how fast can it grow, how big can it grow, I think that is what would determine the possibility of the upside over there. But at the same time, is it burning enough money, or will it continue to keep burning money for growth, etc., will determine like your downside of risk. So both are important. At early stage, though, numbers are not really very reliable, so they are the value of number crunching really does not there, right? Because if a company has first three customers and is planning to onboard 1,000 customers over the next 2 years, 3 years period, right? So you really can't draw a lot of inference from like three customer conversations and then extrapolate it to how it would appear to be when it goes to 1,000 customers. Whereas a late stage company that might have already had 100, 200 customers, not really late stage, but let's say in the scheme of things, and then are looking to grow to about 1,000 customers over the next year or two, there you have much more reliable data to actually work with. Moving forward to our next question, what do you think about an edtech startup catering needs of an untapped market, or is there an untapped segment in edtech market in your opinion? Um, okay, the question is very specific to edtech, but I think I would want to answer this for a much broader space. I feel there always is an untapped market in any sector in any space, because each consumer and their needs is different, right? The right question to ask here, though, is the untapped segment big enough to actually pursue it, right? Because you don't want to create a company where you're going to have a net revenue of a couple of thousand rupees or dollars or whatever, right? You want, if you're trying to build out a business, then you need to have enough number of customers. Having answered that specific to edtech startups, I think there's a lot more work yet to be done on edtech. But again, it's more structural in nature. I'm not saying, why isn't a company A, B, C doing X, Y, Z? Because it's not that simple. It's a much more complex system, and it's an evolving system, right? So even in a tech space, especially with the new education policy kicking in very soon, I see there is a lot more opportunity. Also, a lot of schools have now opened up their willingness to actually go digital, go live. The use of technology is gone up drastically. So definitely there, I feel, is still space in edtech. But again, as a disclaimer here, we haven't made any edtech investments. We are a bit reclusive of that space. So I'm not really an expert on that particular sector as such. But yeah, untapped spaces exist everywhere. One needs to just ascertain whether the market size is large enough. Moving on to the third question for the day, why do VC firms take so much of time in responding to founders? Oh, that's a complicated question. Okay. As a founder of a VC firm, I am myself running a business, right? And this is something that a lot of founders would associate with as well. While setting up an organization, you want to ensure that your capacity is always optimally utilized, so that you are sure that all your resources are fully utilized. Most of VC firms across the country, and this is a trend globally, not just in India, have very limited people on board for two reasons. One, the quality of people required is very different. So these people, like the resources, are also very expensive from an day-to-day operations perspective. So hence, what we all funds want to do is ensure that there is more workload than the capacity that they have built in, which invariably creates like a funnel or a pipeline, right? So all VCs refer to their deal flow as a deal flow funnel or a deal flow pipeline. So an analyst or an investment team member is usually looking at a few things set in hand. So it's more often than not that when an application comes to us, it's not really taken up immediately, because the person in charge is actually catering to something else or finishing up something else before they move on to the next mandate. Now, having said that, there is a contrary belief at our end, though. So we believe in saying fast. Uh, we're saying no very fast, right? So if it's a matter of it's not aligned with our thesis or something, ideally we would want to send a quick response to the team. If it's a no, if it is a yes, usually it does end up taking a longer time, because then we are digging deep, trying to either gather more insights on the industry, gather more data, or study a competitor which is already in place, or sort of take an update on what's happening on the sector, so on and so forth. So hence the reason why VC firms take a lot of time to respond. Right, we are sort of crunched when it comes to our resources, and we are flooded with deals. Like any good VC firm is always flooded with deals. So it's just a function of that. Moving forward to the penultimate question for the day, what is more important skill set that you look for in a founder? The sweet spot often lies between expertise, opportunity, and passion. For you, what is the single most important criteria the founder must have? Uh, um, okay, so there is a lot of softer jargons, right? Is the so we at Windrose also we say we look for disproportionately mission-driven founders, wherein these founders have to have some unique insight. They should be passionate, blah blah blah. But one important part of the question was, what is the one thing that we look for, a single most important criteria that we look for? Uh, I have a one-liner answer to it. If I can understand why is this particular founder or a founding team the best team to execute the business model, or execute the vision, rather, not just the business model that also evolves, but to execute the vision. So what makes them most unique? What is the background history? How has it become very relevant to them? How invested they are in it, and why are they the best people to actually execute this? So I think that is the single most important thing from my perspective, right? So today, if somebody is starting in a tech company because a tech company is at the flavor of the day or something of that sort, that means that you can still find better founders for the business model, and they are probably out there. They are also trying to achieve the same market, and hence competition is going to be quite fierce there. So moving to the last question for the day, as a student, if not through a hands-on experience, could you please recommend any sources from which I could learn about the VC ecosystem? I believe like just interact more. I believe interning with startups actually helps more. So I'm a very big sort of um, like a promoter of the fact that one should always intern in smaller organizations, because they throw more responsibility on you, which sort of steepens your learning curve and creates benefit for you as an intern. So yeah, interact with more people in the ecosystem. uh, get get a short term engagement at an investment banking firm or a startup. That's something very valuable. So yeah, that's those I think would be the best options. So that sort of completes the set of questions for today. Again, for any more questions that you would want to ask, feel free to drop it in comments below, or if you're watching this on LinkedIn, feel free to post your questions on the comment below. Message me directly on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn profile link, the company's LinkedIn profile link, as well as our YouTube channel links are there in the description of this video below. Thanks again for being available to see the video, and looking forward to starting some invigorating conversations with all of you all.